Within many fields today, including medicine and physiology, it is typically assumed that inter-individual variation between females is greater than between males due to the hormonal fluctuations that occur across the menstrual cycle. This view has encouraged a sex bias in health and medical research, resulting in considerable knowledge gaps with important clinical implications. Many researchers within the health and medical fields will be unaware that an opposing hypothesis related to sex differences in variability exists within the field of evolutionary biology, a hypothesis that has been around since the time of Darwin and Wallace, and purports that in fact it is males who display greater variability. To test these competing hypotheses, we compared variance between the sexes for 50 characteristics including body morphometrics, blood counts, basic cardiovascular function, and biochemistry profiles, analysing data from the National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey, which includes data for tens of thousands of residents in the United States. Nearly half the 50 traits we analysed did not exhibit sexual dimorphism in variation in either direction. Only 18 of the 50 traits exhibited greater female variation, indicating greater female variation does not dominate human characteristics. Only 8 traits exhibited greater male variation, indicating greater male variation also does not dominate. So, our analyses have put to rest the idea that either greater male variation or greater female variation is anywhere near ubiquitous, at least within the functional groups of traits that we have investigated. However, the higher occurrence of greater female variation than greater male variation is statistically significant. Could this be explained by the hypothesis that hormonal fluctuations throughout the menstrual cycle increase female variability and thus female inter-individual variability? We reanalyzed the dataset with women represented only by those who are experiencing regular menstrual cycles and thus subject to the hormonal fluctuations that characterize a eumenorrheic cycle, along with men of the same age. This time, the number of traits with greater female variation and greater male variation were both low and were not statistically different from each other, suggesting that the menstrual cycle does not typically explain greater female variation when it occurs. In summary, our data indicate that neither greater female variation nor greater male variation are anywhere close to dominating human characteristics, contrary to some expectations in the fields of medicine and evolutionary biology, respectively. And while greater female variation is present in a number of the traits that we studied, we found no evidence that this is in general due to the menstrual cycle. Typically, perhaps research design should, by default, include both men and women, and not assume that one sex will probably vary more in the traits of interest, without direct prior evidence that this is the case. If you'd like to find out more about this research, you can access our paper published in Royal Society Open Science at the journal's website, or contact the corresponding author.